In the last part, we saw how things unfolded. Now, here's what happened next. Mama Nkem's heart pounded loudly in her chest. She looked around the quiet riverbank again, certain someone must be hiding nearby. The tall grasses moved gently in the evening wind, and the birds flew low across the water. But there was no one. Still, she had clearly heard the voice. Her eyes returned slowly to the flowing river. Who? Who spoke? She whispered. The water rippled softly around the stones. Then the voice came again, calm and deep, like distant thunder. I did. Mama Nkem breath caught in her throat. The river cannot speak, she said weakly. The water shrieked as the fading sunlight touched its surface. But sorrow can open ears that others do not have. Mama Nkem quickly stood up from the stone. Her hands trembled. Perhaps I'm losing my mind, she murmured. For many years she had lived alone. Many nights she had cried beside the river. Maybe loneliness had finally begun to confuse her thoughts. She shook her head and turned to leave. But as she stepped away, the voice called again. Do not be afraid, Mama Nkem. She froze. Her name? The river knew her name. Slowly, she turned back the water. How do you know my name? She asked quietly. I have watched you for many years, the river replied. Mama Nkem slowly returned to her stone. Her fear had not completely disappeared, but curiosity pulled her closer. You have watched me? She asked. Yes, the river flowed calmly as it spoke. You came here when your husband disappeared. You cried until the moon rose. You spoke to the water when no one else would listen. Tears filled Mama Nkem's eyes. No one remembered those nights, she whispered. But I do, the river replied gently. The evening air grew quiet. Mama Nkem sat quietly, listening to the flowing water. Why speak to me now? She asked. For many years, your heart was too heavy with grief, the river answered. Now your spirit has become strong enough to hear. Mama Nkem stared at the water. So, you have been able to speak. Yes, but humans rarely listen. From that evening forward, Mama Nkem returned to the river every day. At first, she still feared the strange voice, but slowly the fear turned into comfort. The river spoke gently, like an old storyteller. Sometimes Mama Nkem told the river about her day. Other times, the river shared quiet wisdom. Water travels everywhere, the river once said. It sees things that humans never notice. Mama Nkem listened carefully. For the first time in many years, she no longer felt completely alone. One evening, Mama Nkem asked softly, "Have you seen many things in your journey?" The river laughed quietly. "I have crossed forests, villages, and mountains. I have seen kingdoms rise and fall." Mama Nkem leaned closely to the water. Then tell me a story." And the river did. It told stories of travelers who rested beside its banks, of children who once played in its waters many years ago, of ancient times when the village of Oduka was only a small group of huts. Mama Nkem listened with wonder. One evening, a curious village boy named Chike followed Mama Nkem quietly. He had often seen the widow walking to the river and talking to herself. That day, he hid behind tall grasses near the river bank. From there, he watched Mama Nkem sit on her usual stone. She spoke softly, then suddenly she paused and nodded, as if someone had answered her. Chike's eyes widened with fear. "There is no one here," he whispered. Terrified, he ran back to the village. By morning, the entire village was whispering, "Did you hear about Mama Nkem? They say she speaks with spirits by the river." Some villagers shook their heads. Loneliness has taken her mind. Others were frightened. Perhaps the river spirit had possessed her. The rumors spread quickly across Oduka, but Mama Nkem did not know this. She was still sitting peacefully beside the river. Soon, the news reached the village chief. He was a serious man named Chief Okafor. When he heard the rumors, he frowned deeply. "The river is sacred," he said slowly. "If spirits are speaking, we must understand why." Some elders nodded nervously. Others suggested watching Mama Nkem quietly. The chief finally agreed. "We will observe her first," he decided. That evening, Mama Nkem arrived at the river again, but the water did not seem calm. The current moved faster than usual. "River," she said softly, "something feels wrong." The voice answered quickly, "You are correct." Mama Nkem's heart tightened. "What is it?" "The rains in the mountain have become very heavy," the river said. "The water will rise soon." Mama Nkem looked at the flowing water with worry. "Will the village be safe?" she asked. The river remained silent for a moment. Then it answered slowly, "No." Mama Nkem's chest tightened with fear. If the rain continues, the river will overflow its banks. Her hands began to shake. "You must warn them," the river said. Mama Nkem stood up slowly. "But the villagers already think I am mad," she said sadly. "They will not believe me." The river voice softened. "Some will laugh, some will ignore. Then what should I do? Speak the truth anyway." That night, Mama Nkem walked through the village streets. She knocked on doors. "The river will flood soon," she warned. Some villagers laughed. "That widow has finally lost her mind," others ignored her. But a few people listened carefully because deep in their hearts, they trusted Mama Nkem's gentle spirit. The next evening, dark clouds filled the sky again. Strong winds moved across the land. The river grew louder. Mama Nkem stood on the river bank watching the rising water. "Will the village survive?" she whispered. The river answered quietly, "That depends on whether they listen." Thunder rolled across the sky. Heavy rain began to fall once again. Mama Nkem stood outside her house, staring towards the dark river. In the distance, lightning flashed across the hills. Her heart trembled with fear because she knew something terrible was coming. And by morning, the river would change the fate of the entire village. Stay tuned for part 3 of this interesting story. Thank you. Like and subscribe and share. Thank you.